Bulavinaka, good afternoon and namaste. I'm Vijay Narayan here, a special Fiji Village Straight Talk. We're talking to former Prime Minister and Fiji Labour Party leader Mahendra Chaudhry. It's been 26 years to the day today since the coup of May 19th, 2000. Mr. Chaudhry, it happened just after 10 o'clock in the morning, and you were the Prime Minister. In your government, People's Coalition government, was in power for 1 year, and then George Speight and his men stormed into Parliament and carried out the events of May 19th, 2000. As you sit down today in your office and as you started off your day today, definitely it's been 26 years. People will say it's been a long time. Does it still come to your memory when you think of those dark days that Fiji has had?
Yes, not only May 19th, May 14th also. That was the first one. So these two dates will never be erased from my memory.
We know that you were part of the Dr. Timothy Bavandra-led government in 1987, which served the country for just over a month. Yeah. And then, of course, the first coup occurred, led by Sitiveni Rambuka, the current Prime Minister, and then you had to go through the same thing again in 2000. As things were unfolding that morning, I do remember that you had a small celebration of 1 year in office, and to have that occur around the same time, knowing that you had the support of your government members, but there was this insurrection that emerged after a few marches that occurred. What was going through your head?
Well, I was quite surprised when George Speight walked in with his men with a pistol in hand, and I think Dr. Sopeni Mbamba was speaking at that time, and took a shot at the ceiling and brought the proceedings to a halt as the speaker asked him to leave. And there was a tussle between him and the speaker for a while, but then the speaker got up and left. And George Speight was there with 2 or 3 of his people, and this went on for almost half an hour before we were taken out of the chamber and put into the conference room, and we didn't know what was happening outside after that. After a while, I was called in, and Dr. Bamba came in, because we were separated as we left the parliamentary chamber. The 8th OK members of parliament, non-Indians, were taken to a different place, and we were in this conference room. So and then there was an altercation between us, George Speight and Tupeni Bamba and myself, and then we were pushed back to the conference room where we stayed, and yes, so that was that particular moment when we were taken in, when the house was stormed by George Speight and his men. And unfortunately, security forces were not in sight. We don't know what was happening. There was no one there to protect us. And so, as I said, I was very shocked and surprised. Of course, in between, when we were in the house, our hands were tied. Our ministers, some of them, Posedi Bunia, myself, the Minister for Lands, Ratavolabola, and a few other ministers, and we were told to lie on the floor, and all these things happened. So yes, but those were the tough times. But anyway, we were hard enough to endure all that happened on that day, and then of course for 6 weeks that we were held hostage in the parliament, and many of my members, of course, were also incarcerated, but as I said, separately. The Itoke members were and others were separate from us, and Indian members were with me. And we endured those days. It was tough. At times we didn't know what was going to happen next, and particularly on the day when there was a shootout between the army and the rebels, and that was very, very terrifying moment. So yes, there were days when we didn't know what was going to come next.
It's been said that one of the reasons for the coup was that you, being an Indo-Fijian, being the head of government, and there was concern about Indo-Fijians taking over the country, meddling into the affairs of the Itoke, including Itoke land. What are your comments on that?
That's a load of rubbish, because we were a coalition of 3 parties. Labour Party, then there was PANU, Party of National Unity, which was a Itoke party from the west, and then there was the Fijian Association Party led by Andy Queenie, and I also had in my cabinet 2 members of the Christian Party, Posedim Bune and Andy Koila. So it was a party which, it was a coalition of actually 4 parties. In my cabinet of 18, 12 were Itoke and only 6 were Indian cabinet ministers. So I couldn't do anything in the terms that I was being accused of, with a cabinet which had 12 members who were Itoke and only 6 Indians. And I'm proud to say that I had the full confidence of my Itoke members. So this is just propaganda which was cooked up to justify the coup and to sell this to the innocent Itoke people.
You said before that you were too busy working in the first year, and at times you didn't have time to stop and look. As you said, it all came to you as a surprise. You have been branded as an arrogant person too at times when you were Prime Minister. What do you have to say to that?
This is all, what my detractors have said all along. But I was not arrogant. I was very popular as a Prime Minister wherever I went, and I did visit people in the course of heavy workload, and we were all about getting the country moving. We had made promises to the electorate, we had a job to do, and the Prime Minister, of course, is the prime mover. If he doesn't do anything, nothing happens. So yes, I was busy, kept quite busy, but we relied on our security forces for us to keep the nation secure. And we were getting briefings from the police and the military from time to time. Cabinet was being briefed, and we were told just a week before the May 19th coup that there was nothing to worry about the security situation. So there you are. In other words, the security forces were not telling us the right thing.
In terms of us as a country, making sure that we learn from whatever happens. You have attended, for example, a reconciliation ceremony that occurred in 2023, organized by the Methodist Church of Fiji during the Gurmit Week. and you made a few comments there. There was a speech from the Prime Minister seeking forgiveness from those who he has hurt, including yourself. What are your learnings from that? Do you believe that we have overcome some of these major challenges that we've had in the past?
I don't think so. From recent developments, I think it's still there. There are people still in this country who just do not want a multiracial government, who want to dominate and who want to see that they are in power and not get the people to come together, because it does not serve their political agenda. So they are there all the time, dividing, but wearing a garb which shows them as preaching unity. Recent developments on the Constitution review have convinced me that now there are still people out there who are not wanting all the citizens to be equal. And so there you are. And this is a fear amongst the Indo-Fijian community now, that the citizenship rights which they enjoy under 2013 Constitution, particularly in terms of equal citizenry, in terms of secular state and equal opportunity, is at risk. Judging from the statements made by the chairman of the Great Council of Chiefs, and I myself have replied to that. So I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done to bring about that unity that we are all talking about, but are not sincerely pursuing.
George Speight has been out after this government came in, went through the Mercy Commission process. Have you had any conversations with him? Has he reached out to you in any encounters that you've had?
Well, not conversations, but one morning when I was out on my morning walk, he drove past and suddenly the vehicle stopped and somebody called out good morning to me from the vehicle, and I wasn't sure who it was. And then of course he introduced himself, because I didn't recognize him. I'd seen him after 26 years. So he just exchanged some words with me, and he seemed remorseful and all that, but that's about it. And one other time I also, on my morning walk, I met him, yes.
Now in terms of course, we had another coup in 2006, December 5th, 2006. There's always questions being raised about your involvement in the interim government. Yeah. And that eventually, you being a victim of the coups, that you went into the interim government set up after a coup. And then leading up to that, of course, there were questions about the then Army Commander Borenge Bainimarama and Fiji Labour Party having discussions, meetings of sorts in relation to the planned reconciliation bill and other things that were before the government. Now, if you look at that, what's your explanation in relation to your involvement going into the interim government setup and eventually leaving after that?
Well, I must clear one thing, that I never met Bainimarama before the coup. Some people have been saying that I had meetings with him before the coup. That is a lie. I didn't know the man, except when I was Prime Minister. After that, I had nothing to do with him. And we made a statement also condemning the coup. There was an official,
2006 coup.
yes, there was an official statement from the party condemning the coup and wanting to return to democracy. Now, then I was approached in January of 2007 by the president at the time, George Speight, to take up the position of the finance minister. And the government finances were in a very critical stage. Our reserves were down. And I was asked to come in and stabilize government finances and stabilize the economy. So I accepted that because I felt it was important to save the economy from collapsing. We were at that critical stage at that point in time. But let me also talk about this. Why did the 2006 coup happen? That's also very important. And there were three issues there. There was this legislation, there was the Golin bill, there was the reconciliation, Ratu bill, as you know, about reconciliation, and the land claim tribunal to be set up. Now, two of these bills were opposed by the military, the police, the judiciary, and even the Director of Public Prosecution's Office, because this bill was going to, if it was enacted into law, it was going to reward the 2,000 coup makers. They were all going to be pardoned, they were all going to be, those who were in jail were going to be released, and and the Golin bill, of course, which was also a worry for the tourism industry, and they were quite concerned about it. And the military was also very, very vocal in this, because they were coming to the parliament sittings in full uniform, more or less indicating that they were not happy with these legislations. Now, I was the leader of the opposition at the time, and no, I was a part of the government actually. I was a backbencher, but I was a member of the business committee. And I tried to talk to Mr. Garse that things are not right. You have opposition to this legislation by the judiciary, by the DPP, by the police and the military. Why don't you defer this and let's talk about this? But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to carry on with it. So I think that's when the military stepped in and took over. So that's the reason that, in my view, it could have been avoided had those three bills been deferred and some more discussions taken place on that, and to see how they could be modified to make them acceptable.
Could it be that after the 2006 coup that we've had, by that time we've had 4 coups, 2 in 87, 1 in 2000, then in 2006, that when you were approached by, as you said, the then president, you decided that you will go into the setup to make sure things change instead of a recurring cycle? And is that being seen as you supporting a setup after 2006?
I didn't get your question.
In terms of 2006, was it something that you found in 2007, January 2007, that it had to be done to try to get into the setup to make a difference instead of staying outside and just complaining?
Well, I knew that you can't set the clock back. So what we should do is to get back to democracy as soon as possible. After the 2007 coup, this was what was done. We had an agreement which was actually negotiated with the European Union that within 2 years Fiji would return to democratic rule. And by April 2009, elections would be called. So that was the agreement. I served with Mr. Bainimarama as Prime Minister, and of course we had some differences over the Fiji water issue, and then I left. I left when he made it known that to his cabinet ministers that there was going to be an election in 2009 April, and those ministers who were intending to contest that elections must resign at least 6 months before the due date. So there were 3 ministers of the Labour Party in that cabinet, and we all 3 resigned. The Prime Minister, we were intending to contest the election, so we handed in our resignations. And come to April 2009, it didn't happen. Mr. Bainimarama reneged. And when he lost the appeal to Mr. Ngarase's case, he then abrogated the constitution and declared martial law. We then became a critic of his, criticizing the government for reneging on the agreement which had been signed, and under which Fiji was to return to democratic rule after the April elections. And since then we continued to our struggle for democracy, return to democracy, and we were very vocal in opposing the Bainimarama regime right through. If you look at our statements in those days and our Facebook posts and all that, we continued to oppose the regime, and even right up to the 2013 Constitution when it was promulgated. So our fight for democracy was there all along. It was difficult in those days. I think if you look at who were speaking out those days against the regime, you'll find that Labour Party was at the forefront, not the other parties you see today. And I can say that with some pride, that we carried on with our fight for return to democracy.
2007, 2008, when you were in interim government, do you look back and see it as a mistake maybe?
Well, in hindsight, maybe, but there was I trusted the people who were there at the time that they would go ahead with the plan, the return to democracy, and that didn't happen. So I know better now.
A coup is a coup. I mean, you gave some reasonings in relation to leading up to the events of December 5th, 2006. We have people watching this from around the world, here and abroad. Some would have left after some of those events. The big question that lies for everybody is the value for genuine democracy, to ensure we do not have these repeated incidents. Just if somebody is unhappy with something, that through the barrel of a gun, a government is overthrown. What is your comments to the people out there, knowing that we've got these events that have plagued the country in the past?
Yes, but I think we're very unfortunate. We still don't have a democracy when you come to think of it. We still don't have democracy. And I don't know when we are going to get democracy in the real sense of the word. Because there are elements in this country who don't want true democracy, who want to dominate, as I've said. And I think we've got to be honest enough to admit that. Admit that even today, we don't have a democracy. I, as an Indian, feel marginalized. And if you go out there on the street and ask the people, they will tell you that. They're very unhappy about what's going on today, right now. And not only Indians, but also the ordinary Fijians. They're not happy because they're also marginalized by these people who want to dominate all the time, who want the power in their own hands. And this has been happening from 1987. And it will continue to happen until such time as you have leaders who really mean what they say or what they preach, they believe in it. Right now we have a lot of talk only about these things. They're not sincere about it. Come election, you'll see it again. We see it every election time. And in between also, you look at the policies. You look at how the government is being run. It's been there all the time.
What needs to be done?
We need to change. We need to change our mindset. We need, honesty, sincerity. We must, first of all, learn to love our country. Only then we can get the people together. But if we are governing, if we are in power for ourselves to execute our own agendas, then no.
We know there's a lot going on in terms of the truth and reconciliation process. You haven't fronted in front of the commission as yet. We have the Constitution Review Commission process. Then we've got a lot of talk about electoral laws to be reviewed, etc. Plus, general elections based on the law can be held anywhere between August this year and February next year. Just all these processes underway, and on top of that, the truth and reconciliation process, which has been said that may be one of those things that can be something that can unite people and move forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know actually. When you look at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, its terms of reference was drafted by the government itself. There was no consultation on that. And it's a paper exercise. So you'll hear a lot of stories about it. But people who have really suffered are not going to be compensated. Those who really suffered. I'm not talking about MPs or anything, the ordinary guys who really suffered. It's too late now. And there's no provision for restorative justice in the legislation. And reconciliation without justice is not possible. This is just a facade. Fine, we'll tell our stories and all that sort of thing. But do you think that will really reconcile? Do you think people who have been wronged, grievously wronged, are going to be happy just telling their stories without getting justice? You look at what has happened, particularly the 2000 coup and 87 coup. They were racist coups. There was ethnic cleansing. people have suffered. An entire community was shattered. But we're still here. I'm still here fighting. I haven't quit. Because I believe that we haven't got it right just as yet. More work needs to be done. And we need to really appeal to our younger people to think differently.
Do you think it's a waste of time in terms of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission process?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but it's not going to achieve its purpose. It's not going to achieve its purpose, its real purpose. Because you don't see an extension of that in the day-to-day governance of this country. The element of reconciliation, the element of, justice to all. You don't see that in the day-to-day governance in this country.
Now, Mr. Chaudhry, you highlighted about you're still here fighting. We expect elections anytime between August to February next year, based on the law. And you talked about appealing to the young people. What is the future of the Fiji Labour Party? You've been the leader for the party for many years, and of course, in terms of your candidates, what's the story with that in terms of succession planning, in terms of your party, in terms of longevity of the party and the future of the party?
The party is now 41 years old, and it will continue because our founding principles, I think, are is the strength behind the party. What we believe in, these are enunciated in our constitution. There are 13 founding principles of the party, and this will endure. And as I said before, that the Labour Party is more than just a political party, it's a movement. It's a movement, whether we're in Parliament or not. We'll continue to serve the people, those who are underprivileged, who are marginalized, and who are, need to be helped and who need to be brought up. So that's our mission, and we of course, we won government twice, and that was through suffrage, through the will of the people, but we were not given the opportunity to serve our term. And you know the history of this country. You know the history. How parties like how the Labour Party has been kept out every time we come in. I think this time again we are making an effort to get back into government. I think we have a fair chance, judging from the support that I see on the ground at the moment. And we hope to strengthen the party machinery. As I said, we are reviving all the branches that had been kind of dormant over the years. You must understand that a lot of damage was done to our political structures of the parties which had in opposition to those that have been in government for the last 14-15 years. I mean, the Fiji First Party, they did not for the first 8 years there was of course no constitution, as you know, and all this weakened the democracy in the country, because there was no party willing to come up and take them on. Right now, under the 2013 Constitution, of course, there are changes that are being proposed, We hope that these changes will be for the better. But I, for myself, believe that it's not a question of amendments to the 2013 Constitution. We need a new Constitution altogether. A Constitution which will really promote multiracialism, which will bring people together, which will have adequate provisions to ensure that there is good governance, which will hold the government accountable to the people, which will also provide for sound and responsible fiscal management, and a lot of other things that are not at the moment in this Constitution. So we need a comprehensive Constitution which will probably set the foundation for good governance and hold those in government accountable.
Who do you have as a core team in the Fiji Labour Party? People have come and gone, some have passed on, and as you said, the party exists for 41 years. Who's part of Mahendra Chaudhry's core team for Fiji Labour Party?
Well, we have our setup. We have the supreme authority of the party is the annual delegates conference, which comprises all the branches, the office bearers of the branches. Then there is the National Council, which again is on the basis of the constituencies in the country. And then we have the management board, a 12-member management board. So they are the people actually who manage and who administer the affairs of the party in between.
But in terms of your team, if you were to say that you're going for government, who's your main core team members?
Well, we as I said, we've got 12 members in the management board.
That would be the main makeup?
No, there are others outside. And many of them don't want to be identified just as yet for obvious reasons. But we are going to give a very good team in the coming elections.
Mr. Chaudhry, as we end this special show, we've talked a lot about the value of democracy and based on the learnings the country has had. What is your final message to the people who are watching this out there?
Well, my message always has been that, to the people that in choosing their leaders, in casting their vote, they must think very carefully. They must look at the history. Where are we today? Where were we at independence time? Where were we after 15 years, 17 years of Ratumara rule? And from there, what our journey has been like? What development has any, if any, has occurred really in the sense? Why is there so much poverty in this country? Why is there so much corruption in this country? Why is our infrastructures in such a state? Why are our hospitals in such a state? We've got problems. HIV, NCD, but everything is not working right. You yourself know, as a journalist, what is right? You look at education, we've got problems there. You look at health, we've got problems there. You look at infrastructure, we've got problems there. Right? Poverty. And the big problem is the drug problem. We have lost thousands of our people who we need here for our own development. They've left the country. They've lost confidence. It's not only just Indians, it's Ethiopian people as well who are leaving because they've lost confidence in this country. Nothing's happening here. You look at our rural areas in decline, in a state of decline. People should be going out more often, looking at what's there out in the country. Look at the rural infrastructure. Look at how people live. Talk to them. But what I see in the media here is that every day they are in these hotels, chasing the government-sponsored seminars and conferences and all that. When we hear news in the evenings, whether it's ABC, whether it's Fiji TV, all you see is GPH, Holiday Inn, Sheraton. I don't see them going to the people and doing a story about the people, how they survive, what are their worries. Right? They only talk about it in Parliament. And so there's so much wrong with this country. And still we are not waking up because there are powerful forces who keep the people, give them, misinform them all the time. So are we going to continue along these lines, or are we going to change? Is race going to be always a factor in our politics? Should it always be a factor in our politics? No. But there are people who want to bring it around that way. They want to use that for their own end. And on the surface, let me tell you that the Itoke and Indian people on the ground, their relations good. I meet many of them from all walks of life, and we have no problem. It's only at the political level that these things come up. So Fiji can be a very happy country. We are a very blessed country. We've got a lot of resources and we've got a good set of people, but we need a good government. We need a good government, which we have been lacking for so many years now. That's why the country is in this state. We are at a very critical stage. Very critical stage. And I don't know whether these people can turn it around. If we send them back again, they'll make it worse. We've tried them. We've tried this coalition. 3 parties. Look at it. The first thing they do is push their pay up, right? Nobody talks about minimum wage. The minimum wage that was set by Fiji first. These people haven't done anything about the minimum wage. But they've given themselves huge pay increases and all that. And so this is how it is. I mean, say you govern by example. What have they got to show for themselves? When thousands are leaving the country, when our rural areas are reverting to bush, once productive agricultural land is turning into bush, when people are leaving the rural areas, coming into cities and towns looking for jobs which are not there. We've got too many people coming from overseas, working here, and people who are driving buses here, who are working in our supermarkets, who are selling petrol in petrol stations. Why is this happening? I can understand where we need people, where there is a vacuum where we don't have locals. But then why have so many locals left? These are issues which nobody wants to talk about when you come to think of it. But this is happening, and we're going down the tube as a result of all this bad governance. You look at the state of our judiciary today. You look at the state of FICAC. These are important institutions. They are a mess. The Prime Minister is fighting with the judiciary, the court cases. One arm of the government is taking the other arm of the government to court. There is a stalemate. Everything's frozen. There is paralysis in governance. Can you run a country like that? So this is why we are there. Let's be frank about it, Vijay. This is how I feel, and this is how many people out there feel. You ask businesses. Business community will tell you about their frustrations. I talk to them. So we hope that come 2027, I suppose the elections will be in 27. I can't see it happening this year. that we will have a change.
There's a lot to be done, no doubt, Mr. Chaudhry, and of course, we call this country our home. A lot has to be done for our country, for our fellow citizens. Thank you again for speaking to us on this special program. And we know that today marks 26 years since the events of 2000, and we've had a coup after that. There's a lot of learnings, no doubt, as we discussed, that where we can learn and grow from there, but in terms of the right mindset and to continue the journey. On behalf of our listeners and viewers, we'd like to thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you very much.